Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today I am picking back up with our tarot classes, which I'm hoping to be recording several new series for, and I'm trying to get back to it. I'm trying to get back to a lot of things, but it's been a rough couple of years. Anyway, I am reviewing a deck which, in the spirit of all honesty, I purchased secondhand and not from the website that I will actually be reviewing and showing you in just a moment. I really am not in a position to be buying a lot of decks new right now, so when I want one, I've been purchasing them secondhand. I'm perfectly capable of cleansing and claiming a deck, so although I'm aware that there is some stigma attached to using a used deck, I don't agree with it. And I think that just like any tool, you can cleanse it and renew it and make use of it. And I don't agree with the wasteful attitude that if a deck has been used and didn't work for the person who was using it, it should just get thrown out. I buy all my clothing used too. I buy all my furniture from estate sales and I just clean it. So, alright, the deck that I am reviewing is the Golden Thread Tarot. I'm a huge fan of black and gold. I'm sure that people have noticed watching our channel that I love these colors. If you've looked at, the t-shirts or the mugs or the tote bags or the sweatshirts that go out to our patrons, it's all black and gold. If you look at the art pieces we've sent people, the stickers and things, it's all black and gold. That's basically a huge part of my aesthetic and has been for years. So super big fan of just, look at the shiny. I like the shiny. So I haven't actually used this deck, even though I purchased it a while ago. It's been sitting on my work shelf in my workroom, waiting for me to get around to it. Things that I like right off the bat. It does come with, like most decks do, it does come with a little booklet of the definitions, so that exists. It's very tiny handwriting, and just the upright and reversed super quick definitions, but it does come with an app that goes into it more, which I will show you in a minute. Okay. So the cards themselves are pretty heavy duty. I really like the super simple minimalist design. I really like the flash that they have. It's kind of an unusual feeling of cardstock. It's thinner than some of my other decks, but it's also feels really durable and strong. It's more flexible than I'm used to as well. So I'm not sure what material exactly they used to make this, but it's a little unusual and it feels very slick. I'm wondering how hard it will be to shuffle these, because I have itty bitty baby hands. Like, it's a problem. It made piano lessons as a little kid a nightmare. I have tiny baby hands. Okay, so you can see the death card. Very simple imagery. I'm holding it upside down because I drew it reversed. Let's see. I really like this imagery. If you are a person that does not want any kind of gendering to your cards, then I would definitely use the Marigold Tarot, which has a similar aesthetic in the black and the gold, but it's all skeletons, whereas this definitely has breasts. Not that breasts denote that someone is a woman. Everyone has breasts, chicken have breasts, but also there are trans and non-binary people out there with breasts who aren't women. So, but there's definitely a lot of like simplistically drawn bare tits. That's a thing. So if that's something you don't want in your deck, then you could consider a similarly styled deck that didn't have that issue. Some of the art is really fascinating. Just really unusual. Very, very easy to understand, very easy to interpret, at least in my personal opinion. But different. Very different. Get cards like this, where the figure of temperance. I really like this one actually. Let me skim through this real quick and see if I can find my favorite card, the card that I personally identify with the most, and see if I like the imagery thereof, which you'd think I'd look up before I bought a deck, but I didn't. So, okay. So my favorite card, and the card that I often draw when I'm on the path that I should be on, and when I'm accomplishing the things I should be accomplishing, and when I'm following, you know, my guiding star, and when my drive is pushing me in the correct direction and I'm actually making forward progress and I'm happy and at balance with myself. The card I tend to draw at that time is the star. And in all honesty, I'm not thrilled with this imagery. I'm not personally not super feeling it. Like, this is not one that I would get tattooed on myself, and I have considered several times getting a tattoo of a tarot card. Wouldn't be this one. And that's okay. I do like the deck in general. So let me take you over to my reading table and we'll see how shuffling this goes. Alright, let's see how shuffling works with this deck, because I'm a little concerned. The cards are very thin, very slippery, and quite large. So oh, well, that was beautiful. So never mind. Not concerned. Will take me a little bit, as it always does, to learn to move the cards around without taking my sweet ass time with it. But those go together so easily, so satisfying. Let's see, if you are someone who shuffles like this, alright, you can definitely... Alright, so they're a little slippery. And if you are a person who shuffles, you know, with this method, you're gonna have to keep a good grip on them. Things I would have liked, personally. Gold edges might have been nice, a little bit of reinforcement, but it doesn't feel as though it's an image that is stuck to another layer. Like, it doesn't feel like it's gonna have the splitting issue that some cards do with cardstock. This is almost etched into a very thin sheet of plastic, maybe? I'm not sure. If anybody knows what this deck is made of, let me know. It's unusual. Yeah, so let's say that you were doing a reading for someone, you had shuffled, and you parted. Okay, so that's annoying. Every time you set it down, like, a card slides. Do you see that? I don't know if the camera's picking that up. So I'll do it again, and you all can see this. So let's say I've just shuffled, and I've set the deck down, and I set aside that, oh, well, that time it didn't do it. Well, there we go. See, they're very slippery. So, I don't know, that may bother you. It may not. But they're definitely slidey. All right, let's say I was doing a reading. Make a mental note of that. All right, so definitely usable for reading. It's kind of hard to get a whole, like, a grip on all the cards. And I'm using my fingernails, which I actually don't like to do if I can avoid it. Like, if you set your deck down and then you're trying to gather up all the cards, it can be a little tricky. So yeah, slippery is really what I'm coming away from. Really beautiful, really durable, very slippery. So determine for yourself if that's appealing to you. And see, that one slid. Again, that's so strange. Well, I forgot to mention, and so I'm just doing that really quick, I was not at all paid to do this tarot review or to look at the website or the apps affiliated with this tarot deck. I've never been paid to do any reviews. I don't even know how somebody gets paid to do reviews. But I have never been paid. So this is my honest opinion on a deck that I purchased for myself because I wanted it. And I'm letting you all know what I think of it. I also should add the disclaimer here that this is my personal opinion. So if you don't agree with it, that's fine with me. I definitely had some things I liked about the app and some things I liked about the website and some things I disliked, and they'll probably be different than what you like or what you dislike about the website. So keep in mind, this is my personal unpaid for opinion, and that it is absolutely a biased opinion. Because I'm looking at this deck in terms of would I use it, I'm looking at the app in terms of would I use it, so keep that in mind. All right. So the deck that I was just using and that we were just looking at is from Labyrinthos, which is an online tarot school as well as, a place that you can buy tarot and other divinatory decks like Lenormand decks and Oracle decks and accessories to use with that. So before I show you the school, we'll just duck into the shop really quick. I already told you I didn't buy my deck from here, but honestly, even if I had, their decks aren't that expensive. This is the one that I was looking through, which is $49 in USD, as you can see. If you look at it online, it says it started out as an illustration project and mentions the companion app, which we're going to be looking at here in a minute. It says the design of the deck was inspired by the concept of the night and the archetype of a single string that connected all things within the universe, threading images in a murky unknown, which is imagery that really connects with me and with my own history. It talks about the Labyrinthos Tarot app, which we'll be looking at in a minute. And then it recommends some stuff that are frequently purchased with this deck and gives you a deal on it. So you could do the deck, the matching journal and workbook, and the Lenormand deck. They also have other tarot decks, still very beautiful imagery, not as much to my personal aesthetic, but really lovely. They have the tarot journal and workbook, which I've considered, but I keep one already and don't know how useful their particular one would be to me. I think it would be very helpful for some people, but it isn't really how I use my deck, so I don't think it would help me all that much. But still, like if you're learning, this is a great tool, like if you're just starting out. So hoping you can see these pages. Great for learning from, I think. Anyway, speaking of learning, this isn't just where you can buy cards, but they have this whole sort of academy. If you go in, there are tarot meanings. They cover not just the major arcana, but the minor arcana as well. I don't necessarily agree with everything that they say, but then again, I never do. If you've watched our other tarot classes, you know there are essentially 5 major schools of interpretation, plus all the many other ones that have come out as people have written books and people have studied and people have put in their own personal definitions of cards. And that in the end, I think what's more important is the definition that works for you and the interpretation that works for you. If you're just starting out, though, this is not necessarily a bad place to start. So we'll just look at one of these, the full meaning for the world card. They have upright keywords: completion, achievement, fulfillment, sense of belonging, wholeness, harmony, and reversed keywords: lack of closure, lack of achievement, feeling incomplete, and emptiness. I don't, disagree fundamentally with any of those. I feel like in some ways it's missing some things, but again, that's my personal interpretation. It does the thing where it describes the appearance of the card, um, goes into the upright meaning. I like that it does address it for love, career, and finances. It doesn't address it for, health or spirituality in this place. And then it has this nice handy dandy cheat sheet, which does include the Hellenic astrological associations, which I don't use, and the elements, which I don't use. But, if you do, then that's great. So we'll check out one of the minor arcana. Sorry that it keeps jittering. I don't know why it's doing that. We'll just click Queen of Pentacles. So looking at the Queen of Pentacles, also called the Queen of Coins, we have upright definition, real quick: generous, caring, nurturing, homebody, good business sense, practical, comforting, welcoming, sensible, and luxurious. Reversed, we have selfish, unkempt, jealous, insecure, greedy, materialistic, gold digger, intolerant, self-absorbed, and envious. It again describes the card, gives its more thorough definition: upright, again for love, career, finances, and then reversed for love, career, and finances, and then again has the little cheat sheet. So if you were just starting out and you were just learning, having this as a free resource is fantastic, along with whatever other tarot blogs you're reading. I can recommend several. You could put together a pretty good idea of the cards from this and then move from there onward. All right, so back into learning, I want to show the tarot spreads. One thing that some people struggle with when they're just starting out is learning how to lay out spreads. They can memorize all the definitions of the cards, but learning the spreads can be hard, and then you have to learn card combinations, how reading them together affects them, what it means if something's blocking it, what does it mean if it's drawn for a person? What does it mean if it's drawn for a situation? What if it's in the past? What if it's in the future? It can be very complex, so I do appreciate that they have this whole area for tarot spreads that you can then search. You can say, I'm interested in love, right? They have 3. I'm interested in career. I'm interested in, a quick daily spread. This is fantastic. They have some 3-card tarot spreads, which is one of my favorite things to do. They have yes or no questions, like how to do a yes or no tarot spread, which I really appreciate them including. I like that when you go in here, it has supporting opposing factors, mind, body, spirit, and then several examples. So fantastic. In spiritual, which is nice that they include, they have one for the Jungian archetypes, which I think works really, really well with the tarot decks. It talks a little bit about Jungian archetypes, the collective unconscious, and then goes into 5 common: the persona, the shadow, the anima, the animus, and the self, and then breaks that down into a 5-card tarot spread, with the persona being how am I being perceived, how do what others think of me affect the situation, the shadow being what am I ashamed of, what do I want to hide and not acknowledge, anima being what is my divine feminine saying, if I was thinking only of my happiness, what would I do, animus being what is my divine masculine saying, what should I consider, what are my drives or my duties, and self, what does my heart of hearts wants, what are my true desires, breaks down where each of these would be in the reading. I will just note, I don't make use of this polarity, this divine and masculine duality at all. I find it gender essentialist. I find it really limited. I find it very rooted in some Western cultural ideals that I just don't, well, that I just don't work with at all. But if you do, that is something that you're going to find in this particular school's approach to tarot. I can easily leave it out, sub in something that works more for me, like projective or receptive, active or passive. Um, I don't like masculine and feminine. I'm non-binary, and I think that all dualities are actually a spectrum. So yeah, keep that in mind. But this is a free website. Again, I didn't get paid to review this. I do like a lot of the things that they offer. They've got some beautiful, really beautiful tarot mats that go with their decks, the fantastic workbook, and it's doing the jittery thing again. I don't know what's causing that. Various workbooks, including a digital one, which is interesting. I'm not sure how that works. Oh, all right, it's the exact same thing, but you can do it digitally. That's really neat, because not everybody wants to have something that they carry around in their book bag. Well, anyway, that's the website where you can get the deck if you want to get it for yourself, and where you can work out of their free resource. So that's everything I wanted to cover. Okay, so I already showed the website, but this is the Labyrinthos app. There's also an app specifically for the deck that I got. This is how it starts you off. What's this? Are you lost, little one? It's been a long time since we had a spirit visit us here. You can say, where am I? Or who are you? I'll go with where am I? Well, that's a little hard to explain. This is the space between realms, kind of like the place you go in your dreaming. It's a bridge between physical worlds. Everyone that comes here, whether they're human, lizard, elf, goblin, or whatever, comes here in the same form, a specter, much like yourself. Sadly, it's been rather empty here lately. Next, how do I get back home? How come I don't remember anything? I'll go with how do I get back home? Well, you just need to astrally travel back to your body, which may be a little difficult if you forget where you left it. What can I do to remember? You're in luck. You're at Labyrinthos, which just happens to be where spirits like you can learn the art of tarot. And the tarot, it's really just a secret language of the self and the universe. Maybe learning that language can help. I know it doesn't look like much, but back in the day we had many students, a whole staff of snake monsters, bear beasts, and flower gods that were truly focused on guiding students towards their true path. What's tuition? Your delicious soul. Just kidding. There hasn't been a monster that devours souls here for aeons. It is free. So, definitely disliked that portion. I found it unpleasant and cringy, and not something that I would want to make use of myself, but to each their own. It's kind of like a game, I see. Okay. So you can use it to record your readings. You can... learn the same way that you can on the website. There are various articles. Looks like it's very easy to use, very intuitive. Does not look particularly difficult. You can shop the various decks that they sell and other items. Change your language. Say what deck you're using. Say whether you want to use reversals or not. Alright, so let's say that I wanted to learn, and we'll just start with the very first one. So it's definitely based in the Fool's Journey, the progression through life stages, trusting your intuition, shows all the major arcana here. You can select one and go into it. Very quick little definitions. All right, so easy to use. It does have this handy reference with, like, here's all the meanings of all 78 cards. Here's astrology oracle meanings. Once again, I'm going to stress that there's so many different ways to read the cards, and really what matters is that it works for you and that you understand what your deck is trying to tell you and can interpret it. That there's at least 5 major historical schools of definitions, and then there's been so many added on since then. So I think one of the things I do like is that it encourages you to record your readings that you have done so that you can learn as you go, which is nice. All right, so let's check out the other app, the one that goes with the deck that I got. Okay. Start journey. Start journey. Okay, so it wants me to draw a daily card. Sure. Okay. Well, I've never used a digital tarot reading app. I would take that as very positive for what I'm working on today. If I were to have shuffled and drawn this myself, I would consider this a positive sign. Energetically, I've never been sure how I feel about drawing a card using a digital thing, which is not a judgment of people who make use of it. I have not worked out my opinion thereof. So maybe I'll play around with this and see how accurate it is for me. So that was my daily card. What other things are there in here? Lessons. An introduction to tarot. Okay. Traditionally, tarot has been used for divination as a method to look into the future. However, this is absolutely not the most productive way to approach tarot. Okay. A more interesting way to understand tarot is as a tool to unravel the unspoken voice of the self. Cards are something tangible on which we can project our feelings and thoughts. Agree and disagree. I think that all the different ways that tarot is used are very useful and very helpful, and that includes as a game, as a learning device, as a way to talk to the inner self, as a way to talk to spirits, as a way to talk to divine entities, as a way to have an easily connected with spell object that you can attach energies to. So I think there's a lot of different things that tarot can do, and that all of it is interesting and all of it is useful. But okay, deep history of human myth and archetype. Oh, sure. Through telling and retelling, these archetypes have become embedded in the way that we interpret stories. Absolutely agree with that part. It's just that the tarot imagery is very heavily rooted in, medieval Christian Neoplatonic ideals. And as much as the Western world wants to treat those archetypes as universal, they aren't always. They are fairly well spread through the world, and as time goes on and globalism increases, they're more well spread through the world. But archetypes are not interchangeable across cultural barriers. So that's a common idea that you find in Western occultism, that their perspective is universal, and it isn't. But let's see. The story that you tell about yourself greatly influences the way that you think about your future. Do agree. Tarot is about helping you tell your story, finding facets you may have missed. Tarot can be about helping you tell your story, finding facets you may have missed. That is one way you can make use of it. Okay. I do agree with have fun. It should be something fun. Oh, am I just done with this lesson so I can't go forward? All right. All right, back to the lessons. Let's look at their meaning of magic. There is an ancient saying found in Hermeticism from which we can derive what magic really is: as above, so below. Okay. Earth mirrors heaven, man mirrors God, the macrocosm mirrors the microcosm. That is a way of looking at that, yeah. The world is simply a mirror of our own inner worlds. The boundary between these two is arbitrary. The self and the other are really just one. I actually agree with the concept of the one and the all. I just think that we need to be careful how we're telling that to people who are going through certain life situations, and whether we're actually being helpful or whether we're telling them that they should love the people who are hurting them. Anyway, not where this deck was going with that. So magic becomes simply understanding what each symbol does in relationship to the others and the world, and interacting with them. That is not my definition of magic or my understanding of how it works, but it is a hermetic definition and a hermetic understanding. So, you know, I'm not one of the hermetics. So, all right. The meaning of magic teaches us that once we shed our inner light on the story reality is telling, we can see all parts at play and transform it. Go tell yourself some stories and relight them. Shine with the light of the universe, which is also your inner light. Why is it always light? Why is it always light? So going through their lesson on the major arcana, do agree that you should trust your intuition, not just the general meaning that has been assigned to the card by whatever book you're reading or app you're using or website you're using or whoever you've studied under. Do agree that the context matters, how this card works alongside other cards. So there's definitely stuff that I agree. I think that the way they've done this, the way they've constructed this, is just really beautiful and very simple and easy to use. A great jumping off point for somebody to create their own system. Okay, let's see. Tarot database. What is that? Oh, I see. So you can say, I want to look at the High Priestess, and it will once again bring up the short divinatory definition. You can say, I want to look at the Knight of Swords reversed, and it will bring up the quick little divinatory definition. So that's fantastic. You can use this as a reference as well. And you can record your readings that you've done. So this acts as a digital tarot journal as well. And in some cases, I know for people who are starting out and maybe aren't in a safe place, an app might be safer than a journal. So that's fantastic. And again, they have this option for a digital reading instead of having to use a deck. Okay, all right. Sure, I will save that to my log. What is this app like? Right, there we go. I guess positive? Little positive? Immediate emotions that you feel with this reading. Amused? Sure. All right, so you can keep this whole little daily record. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this review. If there is a deck that you want me to review, let me know and I will try to get around to it. If there's any other kind of content that you're looking forward to receiving from Sanctum, then once again, comment below, send us a message. Let us know what you're interested in. We are still working on getting our older content edited and back up, so you'll be seeing some older content and then also some new content as we move forward in 2022. Alright, be safe out there everyone, and I hope that you're having a wonderful spring.